a sec here, and then I'll let you know when we're live.
See you on the other side, bud.
Yeah, right. Pretty much waiting for it to come up on the phone. Come on. I love when technology works the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
There's like a nice. There we go. All right, we're live. Hello, welcome back to the Blue Room Podcast. I'm Lincoln, and today I'm here with my one of my best friends, I would say, Miles Kanne from Victoria, BC. One of the co-proprietors of Tech Noir Tattoo, with his buddy Bobby Tripp. What's going on, homie?
How you doing, man? Good to
Good,
see you.
good. I'm so happy you were able to do this.
Yeah. I had to kind of clear my schedule, but
Much like
made
every
it out.
Yeah, much like everyone else that's doing this right now.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
dressed.
how are you doing? You doing good? Things are good.
You, you know what? I'm actually doing really good. So, shop, like you said, is in Victoria, but I'm living out in Cowichan Bay right now. So about 45 minutes up the highway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's actually like pretty chill out here. I mean, obviously it's quiet everywhere, but yeah, just been kind of taking some time to catch up around the house and do some gardening.
Is that where you're living normally, or are you living in
Yeah, so
Victoria?
when I moved out to the island here, my friends Charlie and Mark, they had been married and living out here for a few years already. So they kind of said whenever Bobby and I were starting the shop, I always had a place, to come, and yeah, ended up, moving in with them for the time being, and apparently quarantining at the same time.
Yeah, no
So,
shit. Uh,
but yeah, it's been good. So we've just been kind of, getting into the rhythm of doing whatever it is around the house we do. But
well, and how long? So you what when I mean we talked about this at great length last year when you
mhm,
had mentioned like, hey, I'm gonna move out to Victoria and I'm gonna open my own shop with Bobby
yeah,
and do all that stuff. Like when because you guys still haven't even really done like your official grand opening yet.
no, and that was the thing. We were like, yeah, we should probably do like I don't know, May or June. It was just kind of like when we were kind of shooting. I think we still might do a grand opening
Yeah.
in June. Obviously everything permitting. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. We opened up in
Right.
September 17th, just last year, 2019. And but yeah, I mean, we had been talking about doing this for on and off jokingly forever. I remember Bobby saying oh, we should open a shop and call it Wild Stallions, and whoever snags that one, that's
Wild
good on
Stallions. That's a killer fucking name.
them.
Wow.
Yeah, so we at least have a Bill and Ted poster that we're going to put up in the shop. But yeah, currently, we got the kind of heads up, and we sort of like cleared our schedules to kind of accommodate as well, staying in since like about last Wednesday.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's been a bit,
Are
but
they officially like are you guys officially under mandated shutdown now?
so we got the mandated one in the mail a couple days ago, but we
Okay.
had been shut down, for
No, yeah.
part of a week or
Yeah. Yeah, we just
yeah,
got in Calgary they just did the mandated
they just did. Yeah, I saw that this
yesterday.
morning. So yeah.
So and Edmonton I think Edmonton was like the day before us.
Yeah,
Something like that. I don't know.
yeah,
It's
for sure. I mean, on the island, it's a little bit smaller here. Like, definitely, like, even the first couple days of kind of really everything like kind of going off. I had already just come off of like 3 days of not working because I was like, oh, I got a little dip in the schedule. I'll just keep it off, and then like lo and behold, I'm like, maybe I'll do two more tattoos, I guess.
yeah, no shit.
Yeah,
Well,
but no, it's again, man, it's just been like finding ways to stay motivated and stay getting dressed out of bed in the morning,
yeah.
and yeah, it's been good to catch up on a few things. So
No, that's good. And it sucks too because at this like where we are right now, I was like 2 weeks away from driving out to come see you.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. I was thinking about like the funny thing is I feel like that's something that we would have probably end up encountering just on the road anyways. Be
Yeah.
like, oh, and now we're going through like, some sort of pandemic. Because why wouldn't we get into those shenanigans on the road?
Well, exactly, because the last time we saw each other
Yeah.
was when I was making my film, and we were doing the road trip from Calgary to Vancouver, like I wrote in the script, and I wrote you into the script, and I
And I'm like, of course, there's no way I wouldn't be there on
fuck
that
yeah,
Friday. Like hell or high water.
yeah, I'll fucking be there. And then
Yeah.
guy texts me like as we're pulling. It was, I think it was it the day before, or no, it was the day
It
of.
was the day that I knew I'd already sort of like overstayed a day, and now we were having to stay a second. So the problem was we broke down, me and my friend Janine,
Yeah,
out in
was it
camp.
Kamloops? Yeah,
Yeah, and so it was not too bad the first day. You kind of make the best of it. You're like, oh, I got a hotel visit. We can go see the strippers, whatever.
well, and
Like
you had a
see what a small
pool.
town has to offer. And then, yeah, lo and behold, like my vehicle was busted. Had to be flatbedded in. Janine, turns out her back tires were completely bald and about an
Yeah,
hour from like just catastrophic blowing out on the highway.
yeah.
So it was kind of a blessing and a curse, but at the same time, we were still on like a timeline to get out, have you come to the shop, do a bunch of shots, and
Well, and it just so happened that we happened to be driving through
right,
Kamloops as well at
yeah,
like the same time, or we were stopping in Kamloops
yeah,
to like fuel up and grab coffee or whatever. And you're like, yo, we're like fucking like 20 minutes or like 10 minutes away from where you are.
literally like is in a parking lot, roll up, get some coffees,
Yeah.
and
So I had
yeah, that was the
my, what's
yeah.
that?
Oh, that was the day that like yeah, we both got our vehicles back on the road. Like I took the van for a test drive that morning
Yeah.
and like ripped out,
And
met
you were
you, and then
waiting
it
on
was just
Janine's at
straight.
that point. You were waiting on her to get new tires.
Yeah, exactly.
Is
Yeah.
what it was. Yeah.
Well, and the van was like that morning too. Like it
Yeah.
was like they rushed us. So, but yeah, so that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, for me, I've been through like hectic shit that is like literally like you don't have a backup plan. Like,
No.
I'm in the middle of nowhere. I don't have a lot of money because I just came from a convention,
Yeah.
and or actually, it wasn't even a
No, it
convention. It
was
was Vantopia.
Vantopia. Yeah.
So
Vantopia, where you're
I
spending
lost
money.
on that one.
Yeah, exactly. You lost because you're spending money to go to Vantopia. Oh, shit. We lost Miles for a second.
We got it.
No, but that was a good time. And I mean, we, by the skin of our teeth, we managed to make it happen. And
Yeah.
you got back, we got into the shop, that was when you were in, at Steveston. We got in, we
Yes.
got all the shot. I got all the shots I needed for my film that I was doing. And
Well, and the funny thing too was like, so we, again ripped out like multiple days late by the skin of our teeth, rolled in like road weary, straight off the highway, went and grabbed dinner at the Buck because
yeah,
we were
we
like,
went to the
okay,
Buck.
we
Yeah.
need a beer and a burger,
Oh yeah.
and then we did the shots, and I ended up tattooing one of your cohorts there
Yeah. The star of
for
the
the shot.
film. Yeah. Yeah. Cause she like, I was just going to have you fake it. And then she kind of said to me, um, in the process of us doing this, she said, hey, like, if Miles is willing, like, I'm willing to actually like have him tattoo me for the film. And I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool and like really poignant. And it kind of, it solidified the moment in like a more, yeah, it worked in the film, but it was like a more special thing because you were doing it and she's going to have that on her forever.
Yeah. Well, I think it was also interesting too because Monuments was about that, like that
Yeah.
road trip and those experiences, and having to just do something whether you almost really like it or not,
Yeah.
because you've said you're going to do it. And I think that, like accountability and also like the willingness to just take things as they're given to you is super important in life because you just get thrown all kinds of
Oh yeah.
shit,
Oh
so
yeah.
you figure it out.
Yeah, and I mean for those people watching like that maybe don't know what we're talking about, I made a film 2018, summer of 18.
Yeah.
I won a grant to make a film, and in the film I wrote this. It was a girl goes on a road trip to honor her friend who's passed away, and we actually, like, me and the crew, we actually did the road trip, and I wrote very specific things that are special to me into the script, and one of those things was Miles, and like the fact that I always went out to Vancouver to get tattooed and stuff like that. So it was really, I was genuinely bummed when there was like this air of like, oh fuck, it might not happen.
Yeah, there was
But
a good 2 days there where it
oh
was
yeah,
just like, okay, we're playing it by ear,
oh yeah, and I mean it
but
worked.
we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, no, it worked out. It worked out perfect. It was actually like, it couldn't have worked out any better than it fucking did.
Well, and something that's interesting that I've talked about even with Janine, because like again, we spent so she was actually coming, moving to Victoria,
Right.
even ahead long before I was, about a year ahead, and
So she's
so
there
we were.
now.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
out here
okay.
now.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
so she's actually pretty integral in me coming out here and even just having a futon to crash on when I
Yeah.
needed to stay overnight. In town. Plus, just a great friend. So we go back since like Edmonton days. So yeah, it was really good to have somebody on the road with you who is your ride or die, somebody that can calm
Totally.
you down when you need to be. But also, I think a big part of that is being that for somebody else too, because I know I had like to be like, no, 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 chill, it's totally cool. Both of our vehicles are screwed up. We spent all our money last night at you know places I'd rather not say we
Well,
were,
yeah, exactly.
but at the end of the day, like, what are your options, right? You're like, I'm gonna die on the side of the road. I'm gonna starve. No, I'll figure it out,
No, you make the
But
best
like,
of it.
you gotta kind of like make the best decisions at the time. But sometimes having somebody just to like tell you like it's gonna be okay is like really important.
For sure. No, that's good. And I mean that, and you're right. So it just kind of course, it plays into that thing where it's like, yeah, I'm going to road trip out there again. And like, I wanted to take the ferry because
Yeah,
I haven't taken the ferry in like fucking
yeah,
15 years or something like that. So I was really excited about the prospect of like driving all the way out to Victoria
yeah,
again. And, of course, you know, fucking something got in the way of that. So
yeah.
it's not that it's not going to happen. It's just kind of on hold for now. And
And I think that in a certain way too, it's just going to be a matter of like just timing, right? Everything in life is timing, and I
of
think
course.
like that road trip was a big sort of thing for me where it was just like sometimes you're just like in the shit and you got to kind of figure it out. So yeah, it's like yeah, I don't know where I was going with
No, fair enough.
that.
So now that you're kind of established and you have your footprint in Victoria, um, and I haven't seen the shop in person yet,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
I know we had a lot of conversations leading
yes.
up to you actually kind of putting this thing together, and just some of the shit you told me about, that oh god,
I know. Sorry.
all
This
good.
is what happens when you have your camera propped up with a 15 pack of Coors.
Just some of the stuff that you told me about, like when you were kind of in the planning phase, and like, this is what I
Yeah.
want to do, this is what I want to call the shop, and like these are, like, it's so aesthetically you, like
Thank you.
your for those who are familiar with Miles's work, and if you're not, please go and check out his fucking Instagram, because like your work is it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And like I I thought I loved the 80s, but you fucking
Mm.
loved the 80s and
Well,
everything.
I think that was a big bonding moment for us, even just
Yes.
getting to know each other, like in the tattoo realm,
Yeah.
um, because you were getting tattooed by Sam Smith, and I think that, or sorry, well, I mean,
Well,
you knew
originally, yeah,
her.
Sam.
That's originally how we were
It
introduced.
was Sam, and then I got tattooed by Halter,
And,
and then I got tattooed by you.
exactly. So in that amount of time, though, just the bullshit that one does in a shop, we found out pretty quick that we were like nerding out about the same stuff.
Well, dude, like the
So
second time I met you, you were, I believe it was the second time I had come out, because I was flying in and out the same day.
Yeah.
to go and get tattooed by
Yeah.
Sam,
Super
and
close. Yeah.
it was literally the second time I had come out there. You were like, dude, next time you come out here, you fucking stay at my place. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's fucking like, that's super generous of you. Like, thank you. Like, and then from there, it just kind of like, I don't know how many times I've been out there. I can't even count how many times I've been out there and like stayed at your
Yeah.
place, and we'll just watch fucking movies and like go
Yeah.
for sushi and just like
I
jam.
have heated borderline like arguments over, DC and Marvel timelines, and you know,
Oh yeah.
almost come to blows at 2 a.m.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah.
no, what.
Oh yeah, no, we've had our but no, you and I bonded really, really, really quick
Yeah.
over that kind of like 80s, the love for the 80s 90s aesthetic and all things kind of movies and pop culture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So dive into kind of like um the idea behind dive into the idea behind
Yeah.
the name for the shop and kind of how you've styled it, because
Very
like
cool.
I
Yeah.
like I said,
Yeah.
I've seen it on like we FaceTimed and you showed me the shop and it's fucking beautiful. It's like honestly, I really wish it was here because I would be there every fucking day. But
It
yeah,
is it is something that, yeah, like both Bobby Tripp and I, we've worked together in the past, and we had a very deliberate sort of idea for the shop. We wanted it to be nostalgic, in a way that, or almost have like little Easter eggs or little things that, people like, oh, that reminds me of this, or you get, oh, I remember that. But also just in a new, clean, modern way. Like, I
totally.
think the salon type of shop, was looked down on for, a lot of years, right? Because like,
Right.
that's not a tattoo shop. You got to cover it in taxidermy and all kinds of dusty shit, and like there was just a formula.
Right.
And I think that, for me, I never want to do something that seems forced or fake, or just, anything that seems like, laughable. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't mind being the butt of a joke or something like that.
For
But when
sure.
it comes to something like the aesthetic of a place that you're going to have to work in every day,
Right.
you want it to be as genuine and reflective of yourself as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Bobby and I, we really wanted to stray away from a lot of those, like, the norms of what you'd expect a shop to look like,
Yeah.
while also sort of having something that, again, inspires us, feels true to what we love, and also just, yeah, some place you want to actually like work every day, right?
Because honestly, it's the what you guys have built would fit in so well in like 1985 in like a shopping mall with that
Yeah,
kind of style, and it's
yeah.
fucking perfect. Like it would fit in any kind of, but it
It's fun.
also
It's funny actually that you mentioned that, because when Bobby and I were kind of just like, mining ideas for sort of aesthetics, or just, things that we just thought were like, oh man, that's really cool. We sort of had a basic idea in mind, but I remember one picture I saw, on Pinterest or something. It was actually a hair salon from Winnipeg in like
yeah,
1984, and I was like, yeah,
exactly.
that's amazing. But there was a lot of just sort of happy accidents too. Like, one of the biggest things that we get compliments on, or like, people ask us about, is we have those glass bricks in the front,
Yep.
like in the high ceiling sort of thing, and it lets so much light in. But as soon as we walked in, like Bobby and I are both like, yep, like glass bricks, we were gonna put them in the shop.
I know that
So
was one thing you said to me. It was like, I'm adding glass bricks
yeah,
to the, and I was like, that's fucking beautiful. And then when I saw it, I thought
yeah,
you guys had added those in, but those were a
yeah.
part of the building.
Absolutely.
Oh
And
my
it was like one
god.
of those things. So it used to actually be a like a cobbler, like a shoe store,
Okay.
uh, thing. So the whole the whole upper decker, or whatever you want to call it
yeah,
there,
yeah.
is it was all storage, and then they had like a bunch of like heavy duty sort of like cobbling machines. I don't know what exactly
Upstairs.
goes in. Yeah, like for like shoemaking, like to do like steel toes and rivets,
Oh,
and
okay. Yeah,
they
yeah.
were all like pretty heavy duty like stuff. So there wasn't one bit of wall that we didn't have to drywall and
Of course.
patch and mud and sand for eternity. But yeah, Bobby and I did all the renos ourselves, aside from like things that were above our pay grade,
The
electrical,
plumbing.
plumbing,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, it was really really a learning experience too, and having that direct control over how the shop looked was great because we were the ones doing the work. Like we
Of
sort of
course.
outsource where we need to, and I think we even found that with kind of handing certain things off to graphic designers for oh, maybe a logo or a card, or and it ended up I think Bobby and I just enjoyed doing those type of things ourselves, so it came really natural once we actually got into like designing the shop. So
Yeah. And I mean, one of my, like, a couple of the key features that I love
right.
in the shop are like the window display at the very front where you have the VHS player, and you just like, do you pop movies in there every day and like,
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that I was really excited about, but like it came by kind of such a fluke. So I think the one of the first days we were actually Bobby and I in the shop like renoing, I was walking by this place and they were having like a sidewalk sale. So
right.
they had on VHS Predator 2, Blade and Running Man. And I was like, and they were a buck a pop. So I'm like,
Oh,
yeah. So I messaged Bobby and I'm like, so what do you think about having like a VHS collection and like kind of just doing that? He's like, dude, I'm so glad you said that because
because I didn't want to
yeah,
be the first one to be like, yo, let's bring a bunch of.
he was thinking the same thing. So we ended up actually at this one place in Duncan out here that
Yeah.
has like or had a ton of VHS, and so we just go dig through there all the time. And as we're standing in line for our $5 worth of VHS, Bobby's like, "Is that like a TV VCR combo for $35?"
Oh, wow.
Sure enough, worked. So yeah, we just have it in the front window, and like we'll pop different things on. Like we had a big snowfall out here, which basically just like shuts the city down
Totally.
anyway. But I still made it into work. But not that I needed to. I didn't have anything booked that day, but
No.
it was pretty funny playing, The Thing and Empire Strikes Back just for the Hoss scene. If like people are walking by, like
Oh, I
just make sure
love
I'm
that.
really driving it home.
Oh, I love that so fucking much. Oh my god. And that's why I say, like, I would literally be I would fucking work. I would work your front desk, quote unquote, for
Yeah, yeah,
fucking free, just to come in and be like, all right, like, I'm gonna put this movie in now, and just fucking.
totally.
At,
Well, and I find that's the things that I notice sometimes when like the day is busy and I'm like I don't get a chance to like put videos for no one really. Like the
oh,
amount of
exactly.
times that some people have noticed the movies. There's a handful, and we do have a really nice like display in front. But then again, there was one girl who I can't remember what video was playing in the front window, but she just like pulled up one of the seats from like the bubble tea place next to us and just like kicked her feet up on our windowsill and was straight watching. I don't even remember. Oh no, I don't even remember what it was. But I was like, yep, like gave her some stickers and a card. I'm like, yeah, that totally rules.
Yeah,
But
that is fucking awesome. That is so fucking rad.
but
Um,
and that's where a lot of things like that kind of come from, is just like random inspiration, and just I don't know, just feeling like doing something in case somebody gives a shit, but not really
well, and
based.
it should never be about whether or not anybody else gives a shit. Like,
Yeah,
you have this nice kind of um like, you now have your own tattoo space, and you guys, both you and Bobby, like, had the ability to design it the way, and it's exactly the way I would have designed it
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah,
And it's just like, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, because if it matters to you and it's the space that you want to
yeah,
be in every single day, that's all
yeah.
that fucking matters.
Yeah, well, and I've definitely found that when we were renovating as well, because we'd get a lot of these trades guys coming in, and they're like, "Yeah, place looks cool. Like, what are you gonna do with the paint?" And we're like, "We did. Yeah, it's called Resort Sunrise, and yes, it's a very light peachy pink.
Yes, it's painted already.
Yeah,
It's staying this color. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, because it's not an off-putting color. It's just not
no.
it's not what anyone uses nowadays, and that's what's fucking perfect about it.
It's one of those things. I feel like if you've ever noticed the paint in the Golden Girls house,
Yes.
maybe you have, maybe you haven't. but I feel like that's the same vibe that you get at our shop.
A
It's
hundred
just like,
percent.
I kind of remember it being pink, but I don't remember how pink.
It
And
probably was pink.
it probably was pink.
I mean, let's be honest. It probably was pink.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the big things too was like, we wanted to have a certain aesthetic and a certain appeal that, like, again, just wasn't really being done. And I think even the name Tech Noir is kind of indicative of what we wanted to sort of do with the shop, because from a pop culture standpoint, um, it has a lot of sort of like weight to it. Uh, being the club that the Terminator, chased Sarah Connor into in the very first Terminator,
Yeah.
was, called Tech Noir. As well, one of the, I would say, most influential, musical groups that I've like, been into over the last, 5 years has probably been Gunship. And they have a song called Tech Noir as well.
Well, and you were the
And
one that got me into Gunship.
exactly, and it was like, I think you and I, that's another thing that we've always really been on the same page with, is music,
Oh
because you'd
yeah.
be like, yo, let me put you onto this, and we're watching, whatever, we're down a YouTube wormhole,
Oh yeah.
uh, but that was like one of the things that we always kind of were on the same page with. But I know even for when Bobby introduced me to sort of new retro wave and this very like, synth wave, neon soaked kind of soundscapes, it was a bit of a game changer and a different way of, sort of, for me, even just sort of seeing that there was other people out there with the same sort of nostalgia
Yeah.
that I, you know.
Well, and I feel like with vaporwave too, it's very
Mm.
reminiscent of the like the retro wave and the vaporwave and that kind of that
Yeah,
style of music. Like I feel like it is very reminiscent of
yeah,
the 80s and nostalgic in that way, but it's also coming in like a new form. So
yeah,
it doesn't feel like you're looking too far back. It's just like, you can look forward but also kind of have a hint of
yeah.
the past.
Well, I remember seeing just recently a video on YouTube, and I'm paraphrasing, entirely, but it was the director of Mandy speaking about
Oh, I love that movie.
palette. Yeah, and
Speaking
like,
about
how
what?
sort of film grain or certain colors, invoke a certain idea or a certain feeling or a certain memory.
Right.
So he kind of said there's no such thing as time now, just palettes. And I like that. I want my shop to be timeless, but a palette that like is sort of like can invoke that sort of like sense of like either nostalgia or just like, somebody walks into my shop and they're like, "Well, Vice City." I'm like, "Yep, I'll take it," but
Oh, for
not
100%, yeah.
not limited to that either, right?
No, exactly. No,
So
that's super fucking cool. And I mean, honestly, I'm super. I'm forever like fucking stoked for you and Bobby, and like super proud of the fact that you were able to like go out and do that. Like I cannot wait to come and Adam and I are gonna eventually pack up the car and like
yeah,
head out there as soon as we're able to.
yeah, no, it's definitely something that I'm really looking forward to, like sharing with more people. And actually, one of the, I would say, obviously barring world events, the biggest sort of bummer that Bobby and I had with sort of like the way everything is kind of going virus wise is, the Comic Con was actually supposed to be March, I think 17th, 18th, 19th, something like that.
In
So
Vancouver?
no, in Victoria
Oh, in
here,
Victoria.
yeah, Cap City Comic Con. So, and we were actually going to have an opening party,
Oh,
planned for it, and like, so it was tough for the sort of like nerd culture out here, because that's another thing that Bobby and I always want to sort of like stress, is that, or not stress, but just sort of like, we want people to know that we're genuine in our love of like pop culture, and like we're genuine nerds. Like,
totally.
both Bobby and I think, had similar, growing up experiences, and I think that kind of bonds us in a way too, where we always want that to reflect, like our love of the 80s and
Of course.
pop culture and comic books and video games. All that stuff's important to us, so why wouldn't we have that in the shop in some form?
Of course. And I mean, yeah, it's not for show. It's legitimate. Like those that is 100% you guys. So, yeah, that does suck that that did get affected. I mean, it's the same here. Like,
Yeah, but I think the other side of it too is like, that now again, it is something that I still want to share with the world. And we're just going to have to sort of get to a point where, things are leveled out enough where, we can have that again. But I've always, even with the shop, we've kept it very clean and open for a reason too, because we want to make sure that, you know, um, we have our own shop up to our own like sort of like code of standards for health,
right.
even when things were kind of starting to hit the fan, we were in the safest place in Victoria. There's nothing cleaner than a tattoo shop, I'll
For
tell you that
sure.
right now. Not every tattoo shop,
No,
but done right, you're in like the most sanitized place, I would say above a doctor's office or hospital.
exactly.
Not to say that those people aren't doing everything they can. Again, some doctors' offices are like some tattoo shops. They're not all
Exactly.
the same level either, right?
No, they're
So
not all run. They're not all equal.
yeah, but again, keeping it sort of clean and open for us was really important because if you see a mess, if you see ink on the floor, you're gonna have to clean it because you got white and light pink and like marble sort of like tones. It's gonna show. But
Well, no, and exactly, and you're setting the precedent for what people are walking, like any kind of foot traffic. If they walk in and they see like that, it's
yeah,
kind of like, ooh, like maybe this is not where I want to be. Like if it kind of,
yeah,
because like yeah, you can definitely bring the '80s, but don't bring the '80s enough to where it's like, oh fuck, this was built in the '80s.
yeah. And there's some biker in the back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's not what you're trying to build here.
no, and I think that's actually it's funny that you mentioned that though because I think we wanted a very sort of like not not acceptable in the sense that it's like I would say like something more like palatable or easy to digest, because walking into a tattoo shop is pretty much the scariest thing ever. Even for me as a tattooer, I kind of hate going into other like shops sometimes. Like if I'm in a town I don't know, I'm
Yeah,
like, there's a shop on the corner, maybe I'll just pop my head in. But I never kind of want to sort of be in there and like, hey, I'm a tattooer. I'd rather secret shopper it, a little bit. And
yeah.
if I don't get a hey or what's up, like check out the portfolios, somebody be right with you. That reflects badly, on a shop. So I think one of the biggest things Bobby and I wanted was an inviting shop, like that. If you'd
Yes.
never gone into a tattoo shop before, maybe you'd pop into this one.
Well, and that's one thing that because I've definitely been to a lot of shops where there's like um this I've been to a lot of shops where you walk in and you immediately feel unwelcome.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
you're not the coolest person in the room
Yeah.
and you feel unwelcome. And then I've been to a lot of shops where it's like what you're talking like, and this is the reason why I kept coming back to you guys out in Steveston so often is
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm.
it was the like one of the friendliest shops I'd ever walked into in my life. I was like, fuck, like this is insanity. Like you walk in the door and somebody's immediately like, hey, be right with you. Just give me a sec.
Yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, there's like there's an air of professionalism when it comes to like treating your clients with respect and treating them human, but at
Yeah.
the same time having fun with what you're doing. It's a tattoo shop. You want to have
Oh,
fun. There's not this like fucking like, oh, you can't swear behind the thing, blah blah blah. Like you're like
yeah.
listen to whatever fucking music you want, and it's like,
No.
what up? How's your fucking day? Like blah blah. No, I mean, not necessarily like that, but
Yeah.
there's like,
No, I agree. I think there is definitely levels with tattoo shops, and I think walking into one, you can immediately sense the vibe
oh yeah,
because, like you said, sometimes maybe you feel like you're not the coolest one, in there. Sometimes you can tell that two people in a place don't like each other, or
yeah,
like maybe that front desk person's not pulling their weight, or like
totally,
there's so many things that on immediate walking in somewhere you gauge, like you just
oh yeah,
assess, right? It's part of being human. We have really good pattern recognition and we can sense if something's fucking weird, and
yeah.
sometimes you get a weird vibe from a shop.
For sure. No, it's true, and I'm really glad that that's the culture that you and Bobby are building.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah. Something I want to go back to the whole music thing, like with you and I kind of being on the same wavelength. Oh, did we lose him? Did we lose Miles? Uh-oh. We might have lost Miles. I'm gonna vamp here for a sec while we wait to see if he's reconnecting. I can't hear him. I cannot see him. Hmm. I think we may have lost him. It's all right. While we wait to see if he reconnects, let's take it to the phone lines. Yes, hello. You're our first caller. Hello, hello. I don't know what to do. This is weird. This hasn't happened yet. Miles, can you hear me? Because if you can, I cannot hear you. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm going to hang up and try and call him again. Let's see what happens. Boop. Maybe his iPad died. That would be a... Miles is not online. Yeah, I bet you his iPad died. That's okay. We'll wait for a couple seconds to see if we can get him back. That's all right. But in the meantime, some things that I can... Well, what I was going to ask him was... what was I going to ask him? Oh, I was going to ask him if he had seen the new music videos from The Weeknd. And if I don't even know if he's a fan of The Weeknd, but The Weeknd's new album is very kind of retro wavy inspired. And the videos, if you're going to watch them, go watch the After Hours short film first and then watch the In Your Eyes music video because they are fucking fantastic. So let's see if active now. I don't know what happened because I still have internet. I still have an excellent connection. Miles is not online. Is he texting me? My Skype fucked up. Oh no. Oh no. I'm still online. We'll see. His Skype fucked up. Let's see if we can get him back at some point. Here. This is weird. Oh, A-Bomb's calling me. What's going on? Wait, why can't I get this on my... Wait, hold on. Let's see if I can get Let's see if I can get Adam on the... Hello?
What did you do with Miles?
I didn't do anything with Miles.
Where did he go?
I'm not sure. I'm waiting to... Ladies and gentlemen, this is my buddy Adam Anderson from the Lincoln Adam and Jay show. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, people.
Hello. Yeah, we're trying to get Miles back. I don't know where he went.
You know, honestly though, like the internet's been kind of stressed since everyone's at home because everyone's on the internet, right? So,
That's possible, yeah.
So stuff's dropping off, unfortunately. But I was thoroughly enjoying the conversation. You guys were doing a good job, and it was, I was doing some stuff and listening to you guys, and it was fun. And
well, now you're gonna listen to yourself on the call.
Yay!
Hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm just in ground zero, still working.
Are you
one job?
You what?
I didn't get cut.
That's crazy, and also very good. What's that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm working. It's like minimum hours, so it's like under 20 hours.
Right. But at least,
yeah, I guess it's good.
At least you have a job. Well, and I guess we can. What's that?
I was just gonna say I'm gonna be surrounded by Corona bags, though.
Yeah, that sucks. That part's. No, Miles isn't back yet. Yeah, I guess we can tell everybody. What is it? Monday.
Yeah.
Monday. You, me, and Jared are going live.
Going live.
We're going live. We're going to talk about. We're going to do our what the hell? Our isolation podcast.
Okay.
And
I'm down. Our quarantine podcast.
Our quarantine podcast, and
okay.
And do episode 2 of the Lincoln A-Bomb and Jay show, and kind of catch up with what everybody's been up to.
Right. Yeah, you've been pumping these out since you've been quarantined.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing one every day. Oh shit, I got Miles back, so I'm gonna go.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Well, that was a shit show.
It's all good, man. Adam called. And
okay.
Yeah, Adam called, and so we kind of vamped for a couple minutes there, but it's all good.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I don't know what mysterious activity was going on my end, but they just like blocked my account, and then I had to resend the code. So I don't know.
They
I'm back
fully
now.
blocked your account?
It was like a Microsoft thing. They're just like they just kicked me out, and they're like, I don't know. Seems like some stuff's going on, so we just sort of like locked it, and then they just sent me like, or I had to sign back in on the server. It was a whole thing. So
Weird.
yeah, I don't know.
Can we get your video back?
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, all
Again,
good.
it's starting from scratch here.
Oh, here we go. Hey, we got Miles back, baby. No, all good. It was just that was super weird. Like I was like, oh fuck, like
it just dropped right out, and there's just a red bar across the top of my screen. Like, oh, okay, yeah, figure it out live, I guess.
It's all good. It's all good. No, we thankfully Adam called and we made it work.
We got guest stars, I guess.
Yeah,
now,
exactly, right? Okay, so what I was about to ask you about
yes,
was are you a fan of The Weeknd?
I do. Yeah, I do like The Weeknd.
Sick.
Yeah.
I'm glad you fuck with The Weeknd.
Yeah.
Have you heard the new album?
I've listened to all the singles. I've listened to the album through just sort of like around the house while I was doing some things. But yeah, definitely After Hours is unreal. There's definitely, and I love what he's been doing with the videos too, keeping them, really uniform, right?
Oh fuck. Okay, so that's actually perfect because that was the next thing I was going to mention. Have you seen the video for In Your Eyes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the one where they cut off the head and
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say maybe no spoilers there, but yeah,
whatever.
Absolutely.
Fuck it. I don't care.
It's a second off. Yeah, it's unreal. And like again, it from a director standpoint or like a cinematography standpoint, I immediately thought of you.
Oh yeah, dude. And that's why I didn't ask you about it until right now because I wanted to. I was like hoping and praying that you had seen it, which I figured you would have.
I was gonna say, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, you've probably
I have
seen
limitless time at home right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen a few music videos.
Yeah, no shit. No, dude, that video and this is why I bring it up because his the music on this album is very and he's always kind of had like a very 80s aesthetic, especially with like the trilogy and stuff. He's always had. Then he got a little bit poppier, and now it seems like he's going back into his darker kind of like aesthetic. And this,
definitely back into a darker, but like, I think he does a really good job of sort of like taking like, what you expect, a lot of sort of like glamorous Beverly Hills shit, and then sort of like making it really twisted and dark to sort of reflect that, but. He's really, I think, outdone himself with like the aesthetics in the direction he's going right now.
100%. Like Starboy, I didn't really fucks with too hard. Like that album's all right, but this album, I'm heavily into this album because it is very like there's a very like kind of retro wave undertone.
Yeah, and I've really noticed it actually in Your Eyes because there's like saxophone and then there's like arpeggios and like and I mean without the video. I don't think you would get those aesthetics necessarily.
Well,
but I think
the saxophone you would.
The visuals really sort of like sell that for sure.
Did you? Okay, so you've seen the In Your Eyes music video. Have you seen the After Hours short film?
I saw that it was on there. I just
because it leads like if you put them together, it's like one long. It's like a short film.
Yeah, so is the After Hours short film all of those videos together?
No. The After Hours.
Okay, that's the one that just goes between Your Eyes and one of the other ones, I believe, right?
Blinding Lights, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it starts with
because he's all bloody and whatever.
Yes, because the After Hours short film or whatever, it starts with him on the stage at Jimmy Kimmel and he's all bloody, and then he walks off stage. And goes down into
which he actually did on Jimmy Kimmel, which was really rad.
Yeah, and then he goes down into like the subway station or whatever, and then it ends with him in the elevator with the two people and the elevator closes.
Yeah.
And then, In Your Eyes video starts and the elevator closes, but then it goes into dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like
Did you ever see the video for False Alarm off that one album? It's kind of like a bank heist one, and it's filmed like a oneer. It's almost like sort of all one take, or it's meant to appear one take. They do a lot of like fancy cuts and some really cool ones. But it's an intense. I think it's one of his lesser known songs, but it's like way more one of his intense videos.
Right. I'm just pulling it up. I don't think I've seen this one. I'm just pulling it up here.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like a. Actually, it's very much like a hardcore Henry type of, sort of like POV. Like it's almost like a video game in that
Oh,
sense.
it's filmed like that fucking, what was that movie called?
Yeah, hardcore Henry.
Hardcore Henry. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's. I
yeah.
haven't seen this, but this is rad, dude.
Yeah, if you get a chance, like to really like take it in, because even the song, it's like pretty hectic, and which is funny because you don't think of a lot of the weekend stuff as like fast paced and like high energy, but it's I can tell by your face it's violent too.
Dude, they just capping motherfuckers like left
Yeah,
and
you gotta sign into your dad's Netflix account, or your
YouTube
YouTube account
account
for
to,
that one for
yeah.
sure.
No, and that's oh man, that's so fucking rad. Like, and that's the kind of stuff where it's like you give some of these like incredibly talented filmmakers to
Yeah,
like a little bit of a like there's a decent budget for this, right?
yes,
But it's not like movie, not like feature film budget, but at the same time
no, for
they're
sure.
creating these absolutely fucking beautiful works of art.
Yeah.
um for like, how long is this thing? It's 5 minutes and 45
It's yeah,
seconds.
like when you say like films and stuff. And so for example, like that's actually something that I love about synthwave and new retrowave too, is even without these videos, a lot of times a heavy synth line or just a certain thing conjures up ideas in your head, right? Like
Yeah,
for me when I'm tattooing and listening to like gunship or laserhawk or something, you're building almost a story in your head of like what you're picturing,
a
even
hundred
from
percent.
song to song.
Yeah.
And there's even a lot of like bands like one called Asilian, and they actually do like sort of like themes, sort of like through each album. So there's like Escape from Antarctica, which is their the Thing, John Carpenter homage. So the whole album is like if you listen to it, thinking of like that's how it's set, it's very much like the Thing. So
Oh,
it's
totally.
yeah, and it's amazing what just a doom 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 bass line can
Doom doom
say
doom
for a
doom doom
movie,
doom doom.
especially
Oh
when
yeah.
you get into these like almost like short films like The Weeknd has, or even Carpenter Brute. They have Escape from Midwich Valley, which is a 9 minute short film, but
Yeah.
it's unreal.
No, and it's funny that you bring up Carpenter Brute, because that's another thing I want to touch on.
Yeah,
I want to touch on Blood Machines a little bit, and
yeah,
um, but yeah, no, you're completely right. It's just like these crazy. John Carpenter set us up for absolute success with
oh yeah.
everything he fucking did.
I think it just needed to swing far enough away that like it became sort of like either cliche or dated, and that so like by the time you came back, you're like, no, 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 that was just genius, and like
Oh yeah.
we should do that
Oh,
again.
100%. And yeah, so with what is it, the Turbo Killer video
Yeah,
that
yeah,
the Seth
Carpenter.
Ickerman,
Yeah,
like the pseudo or whatever, that's not actually they're like a French duo, and they just work
yeah,
under the name Seth Ickerman. So they made a film called Blood Machines, sorry,
yeah,
which is based on that video and that premise of like the fucking girl with the upside down cross on her forehead, and like,
yeah. Tons of, visually, if you haven't seen Turbo Killer, the video by Carpenter, like go just drop whatever. Well, don't drop this, but whatever you're doing after
as
this,
soon as you're
make sure you
done.
watch. Because
Oh,
Bobby he put me on that one, and I remember I was standing outside in Steveston, just like I just grabbed breakfast and I was waiting for whoever to grab the bill, and he's like, "Oh, check this out," and I like watched like 1 second of it. I'm like, I'm going home to watch this on the big screen,
oh yeah.
and yeah,
Oh yeah. That
it it's unreal.
it's uh, I think it might be one of my favorite music videos of all time.
Yeah, it's great too because it has a certain like grindhouse element or a Kung Fury type like ridiculousness, but like just like it's fake, like it's like a real life cartoon in
Oh
that
yeah.
sense. Just
Well,
it's eye candy and it's fun.
it's like you remember Kung Fury, that like
Yeah,
little half an hour short film that like
yeah,
Kung Fury's fucking amazing, but
it's oh
it's
yeah,
it's um it's just silly enough that it's kind of like, all right, like there's a little bit of a there's a little bit of cheese to it. Whereas with like Turbo
Yeah.
Killer,
Yeah.
there's no fucking cheese.
No, it's just it takes itself serious enough. It's just like, but when you like say things about it out loud, you're like, oh, you know that part where that like Corvette jumps through that like laser triangle, and a girl with the upside down cross on her head gets in,
Yeah.
and then the blade guy, he's like ripping through and jumps into that spaceship.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. But it never comes off as like, cheesy and shitty in
No.
any way. When it, like, even just picturing it in my head right now, like it's fucking, that video is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think, and I think that's where, you know, the aesthetics of like, you know, these nostalgic sort of things, you know, they can be stretched to these limits that you're just like, holy shit, like face melter videos with just like unreal 80s inspired elements, but not
right.
limited to or cheesy where it's like, I mean, I think there's limits too, right? Like even with Kung Fury, they did it in a way that you knew you were supposed to laugh at it.
Yeah.
You know, and like they had a lot of fun with it. The over the top gags were there for a reason. But then you can have something that's just so soaking with just visuals that like it can take itself very seriously in that way too.
For sure. And I mean, so with they still haven't released the movie's 50 minutes long.
Yeah, they
And
got some extra time because I think they were originally going to do it as a half-hour film, and then I guess with their Kickstarter, they ended up making a bit more so they could put a bit more into the visual side of things.
like I know that I know it's done because it premiered in 2019 and it premiered at quite a few festivals, but that's just one fucking thing where I'm like, God damn it, like I really want to fucking, I just want to see that so bad. And I know you're the same way. Like,
yeah, no, absolutely.
I can't, I like, and I, before we did this, I was looking up to see if there was any kind of,
right.
release date or like anything like, and there's still nothing. So unfortunately, like all we have is still just the Turbo, which is what Turbo Killer came out in what, like 2015, 2016?
Yeah, it was quite a while back. And which is like crazy to me too, where like I tend to think about, you know, certain elements like, you know, stuff that I was inspired by, or me and you'd be like, you know, chilling out in Richie, you know, watching like some video, and it probably came out 4 years before we got wind of it.
I know, and now it's like
You
almost
know,
10
so
years old.
yeah, there's so many things I think like, you know, even with YouTube, like, you know, what they put out in a day versus like what they actually get, you know, or you know, have just like in the banks. Like you could like watch your, you know, YouTube forever and never see half the music videos that are like unreal.
Oh, I know.
So I feel like I feel like I'm like some like an aficionado sometimes. So I'm like, what do you mean you haven't seen this like obscure junior senior 8-bit video, or you know what, you know, like, but it's good shit.
No, and I love it. Like I love, because every once in a while my phone will light up and it'll say Miles, and I know, and I'm like, okay, it's either like a fucking link to something or it's a song, and I'm like, I know whatever he's fucking sending me, I'm just gonna absolutely fucking love. That happens more often than not, and I fucking love that.
Yeah, we'll have to do like a listening party, or like, you know, a YouTube like back and forth or something one of these days where we can just
that's a good fun. Yeah, like build a playlist and fucking,
and yeah, and just shit talk over it.
that's a good idea. Another question I have for you.
Yeah.
How often do people tell you that you kind of look like Charlie Day?
More often lately, not very much, but that's because I've been in my own house for like a week. But other than that, pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember actually last year at the Comic-Con, we had Garrett Wong out, who was Ensign Kim in Voyager.
Yeah.
And you know, we ended up like hanging out with him a bit after the show, and like went out for beers with him and stuff. So it was pretty fun. And I could hear Bobby talking with him, and he's like, "Oh no, he loves that. You should ask him." And I was like, "Fuck, I know exactly what he's gonna ask me." And he asked me the exact same thing. And you know what? Charlie Kelly's not a bad looking dude, so you know, I'll take it as a compliment.
No, it's fine. I just put up a.
But I do like if I get my hair a little zanier. If you could see my sweatpants and my stallion tee. Like it definitely, and a few more of these. Yeah, we might get there.
It's awesome because I just put a picture of Charlie Day next to you on the stream.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's fucking rad. No, I fucking I just wanted to bug you about that. So have you heard anything about the Escape from New York remake? Have you seen anything
uh,
about that?
I can't say I actually have very much information on it. I've heard whisper
Yeah, of
of
course.
it, but I really don't know too much. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Like that's not my favorite John Carpenter movie. It definitely like it has its flaws. The pacing's a little tough to get through. Like there's a reason I really enjoy it, but you have to be in the headspace for it. And I think you also kind of almost have to have a love for John Carpenter ahead of time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it might be kind of a hard one to digest.
No, that makes sense. So so Leigh Whannell, one of the guys that is of Saw fame.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was one of the co-creators of Saw, I believe.
Okay.
He's tied to the remake, and in an interview recently, he kind of, and this kind of blew my mind a little bit because I actually didn't know I didn't know who this guy was.
Yeah.
I knew of him, but I just didn't know his connection to the star. Anyway, Leigh
Mm-hmm.
Whannell was asked who he would cast as Snake Plissken,
Right.
and he said in a perfect world he'd cast Wyatt Russell. And I said, oh, I was like, all right. So and then they had a picture of Wyatt Russell, like
Okay.
obviously in the article or whatever. Do you know who Wyatt Russell is?
No, and I'm trying to picture him right
So
now.
Wyatt Russell, have you seen? So Wyatt Russell is actually Kurt Russell's son.
Okay.
So and I didn't.
Okay.
He's been in shit that I've seen. Like he's in Goon 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you seen Goon 2?
No, I saw the first one,
Oh,
but
okay. That
yeah,
doesn't help. There's that fucking show. Actually, I'm gonna pull it up here.
sure.
Give me 1 second. He's on like an HBO show called fucking goddamn. This was a pathetic way of
I mean, already, if he's a Russell already, I get like, I feel like I can put my mind on hold enough that it's not Kurt, and be able to like, think
totally.
of him as,
Well,
yeah,
and did you saw Overlord, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so he's the guy in Overlord that
Mm.
he's Ford in Overlord.
Okay,
He's like the
yeah.
tall, lanky kid that, or not lanky, but he's got like the long blonde hair and like the
Okay,
blonde
yeah, yeah,
beard. That
yeah.
fucking guy. That's Kurt Russell's son.
So yeah, so really, and now would it be a reboot that they're doing with this? I'm not sure what
I think
the
it's a remake.
yeah,
Yeah, so I think it's a remake. But the thing that kind of blew my mind is once I had figured out that he's actually Kurt Russell's son, and then
yeah,
had gone back and rewatched Escape from New York, like the similarities just in how they look are
right,
fucking fantastic. Like he
right,
would, and top it off with the fact that like Wyatt Russell's actually a really good fucking actor.
right, yeah.
Like I think he would
And he's
actually.
already been in
Oh
enough
yeah.
things.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
I
I
think
think he would.
that's the thing for me is that like I feel like there's certain movies that like you could realistically do and add like again about like a bit of a modern sort of like retelling, but
Totally.
still stick to what made it good, and then there's other ones that like we don't need remakes for, but I think as long as again it's done genuinely, I think you can do a really cool reboot with a lot of things, especially John Carpenter's ideas. It's like George Romero. Like there's a lot of ways you can branch off from like what a very prolific sort of like horror director did.
Right.
Not even horror or like suspense or anything like that, but I think John Carpenter definitely has it dialed in. So if you could kind of even just not emulate it, but definitely like stay true to the source material.
Oh yeah. It can be done very, very, very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm on board for I'm not usually on board for like the remakes, and like you said, like it's I typically like new stuff.
Yeah.
But that one I'm if that's the route that they actually go with it, I'm
Hmm.
okay with it because I
So
kind of want to see I kind of want to see Wyatt Russell
yeah.
in that role.
Well, and if it's one of those things too, like say, I won't dive too much into this, at the moment, but like, Blade Runner 2049, how much of a successor to Blade Runner that was, and how like genuine Villeneuve like, took things with it. Like if you do a remake or a sequel right, you can absolutely kill it. For me, a dream reboot that like if they just knocked it out of the park, hit every mark, but like is one of those ones that if they didn't do it perfect, it would suck so bad. Is the Warriors, and
Yeah.
because it's a lot to put in there, but I think they kind of did it in this sort of like 70s, hectic, sort of Coney Island kind of style. You'd have to do it again, but you could still have it modern,
You
but
think they could do it modern?
you'd need that almost grindhousey like element of like, yeah, you still got to have the baseball furies. You still got to have
Yeah.
these, larger than life sort of gangs that are just
Well,
ridiculous.
it's a suspension of belief
Yeah.
kind of premise that you basically you're right. The only way they could do that is if they set up or the only way they could modernize that properly is if they set up kind of much the way here's how they could do that. You know how like you've obviously seen like at least one of the Purge movies.
I was so glad you said that because that's exactly what I was
Ex-
thinking. You add these masked people, you add a running around in the
yeah,
street. Like the only way you're going to get home is if you fight your way through the night. Like,
exactly. And that's exactly how they could do it is
yeah,
if they you build that just
the lore.
that little bit of suspension of belief where
Yeah,
the audience isn't going in thinking that this is their reality. It's like
yeah.
okay, it is a heightened reality or a
You're
little
going to see a stylized version.
exactly.
Of,
And I think you're right. Oh man, I kind of do want to see a modern like and you know what? I don't want to see like a modern I don't want to see these like shitty modern takes
no,
on movies. I want to see like the Blade Runner 2049 take on a
yeah,
film where it's taken completely seriously and it's
yeah.
like almost like
Not just a spiritual successor, but like a
a
legitimate like
legitimate successor and like
yeah,
the studio is spending 150 million dollars to make this fucking
yeah.
massive flop in their eyes when it's like one of the most amazing movies
If
that's
you
come
just
out.
let a director do exactly
It,
what they need to do to blow people out of the water, the fans are the ones who are going to get it.
and that's
And,
why that movie is so fucking good. It's
yeah,
because they didn't go hands on. They let him do what he wanted to
yeah,
do,
that's fine.
and that's why Dune. I think because
Mhm.
he's doing Dune as well, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So that's why Dune. If as long as there's
If they do it right, it could be groundbreaking. Like,
well,
yeah,
Dune's always been one of those. Like you did you watch the
mhm.
Jodorowsky's
Yeah,
Dune
ex-
documentary?
yeah.
I think you
That's
and
the
I have
thing.
talked about it.
Yeah, and if you could even reach some of the main sort of talking points that he brought up
Yeah,
and his vision of it, you could do some really cool things. Because the nice thing is he has it like completely all laid out there, and
oh
even if
yeah,
you took a third or a pinch of what he has. I mean, the book's a foot high.
yeah,
His screenplay or whatever. So I mean, even if you could just get the sort of main talking points and visuals of what he was trying to do, I think our potential for sci-fi movies over the next little while here, like the bar's just going to keep getting up. So you're gonna have like potentially Lord of the Rings scale sci-fi where it's like it might take you know 3 hour movies or whatever to tell something, but people will they're hungry for it. They want content, and if you can do it right,
yeah.
you could absolutely make Dune, Children of Dune, blah blah blah, whatever, how many trillions of years in the future the next Dune takes. Like it's you can be very open to things if given the right director and just letting him do what he needs to do.
Yeah, and I can't, and that's you're right. I want more of that, like, and more of it taken seriously in terms of fucking, like, fuck, man, give me all of the Blade Runner movies.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Put Denis behind the camera, in
Yeah.
all of the Blade Runner movies.
Yeah. For me, the other side of things is maybe you don't go as serious. The reason say 21 Jump Street or 22 Jump Street, was a thing because they're like, it's nostalgic to some people, but like no one gives a shit. So if you just kind of reboot it in a way that people care or it's funnier,
Right.
then it's great. And I feel like Transformers for me was another one that if they were to reboot a Transformers movie franchise, I would want them to go legit back 80s style, Miami Vice, like,
Yeah.
but like kind of not over the top, but like the same way that, um, again, Kung Fury really pushed those limits with like, you're going into this movie watching basically a live, cartoon. Like have Energon cubes, like have them stack them and just in the corner somewhere, big epilogue, dialogue between characters. Like you could really, but also have like 80s car chase, like with robots. Like how are we not doing these, take tropes but make them like in a fun new way, right?
Yeah. No, and I agree with you on that. Uh Fuck man, I want all of the 80s movies, and I mean like this summer I really hope it doesn't get delayed because we've already been
Mm-hmm.
waiting so long, but like obviously you know how excited I am for Ghostbusters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
the fucking and I think I think we've had I've told these stories multiple fucking
Mm-hmm.
times, and I think I've even talked to you about them a little bit, but just being able to like be a part of that
Yeah.
was one of the most incredible things I've ever done in my life.
I've told people secondhand stories about you telling me the things you've seen on set, and I've like been getting like goosebumps and like a cry ball in my throat. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like talking about someone else's experience around Ghostbusters. I'm getting emotional, but
I
that's
know.
how I think how much of fans you and I are
I know.
of so many things, not just limited to one thing, but like we can get so amped up on something, but it has to be this genuine love or a long time love too, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I told you this story, but the one day when I was there and they were filming because they filmed in Crossfield, like where I grew up and stuff. And one day they were filming there, and I was standing across the street from set where they had the extras holding, and they had craft services, and I was standing there talking to a couple friends of mine. And while I was standing there, um, this guy comes walking across the street because we were on the street corner, and then they were across the street in another building.
Yeah.
So holding was obviously across the street, but it's fine. So I was standing on the corner, and this guy comes and like walks across the street and then stands right next to me, and it was like almost too late that I realized it was Ivan Reitman.
Oh,
I'm not kidding. Ivan
yeah.
Reitman comes and stands like arm to arm with me,
Oh
like
my god.
standing right next to me, and I couldn't figure out if he had like because I was wearing my Ghostbusters hat.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he like saw the my tattoos,
Yeah.
and so he stood there for like a minute, just kind of just stood there, whatever, and then he kind of bombed away or whatever, and I was just like, I looked at my friend and I was like, I gotta take a moment here because like
Yeah.
that was fucking Ivan Reitman, like what the fuck. And
Yeah.
then he goes, I guess he went into craft, he grabbed a sandwich off the craft services table, and then he comes back and walks back and stands right next to me again, and he just stood there eating his fucking sandwich. And I'm like, what is my fucking life right now? Ivan Reitman
Yeah.
is standing next to me eating a fucking sandwich. Like, what the fuck? And then later that night, I think I told you this part. Later that night, uh, while everybody was kind of swarming around Paul Rudd and like wanting to meet Paul Rudd and stuff, uh, my friend Anna was like, "Hey, do you want to meet Jason Reitman, the guy, his son who's directing or who
Yeah.
directed Afterlife?" And I was like, "Fuck yes! Like, of course I want to meet Jason Reitman." So she's like, "All right, just like wait here, whatever." So I'm just kind of standing there, and all of a sudden, Jason Reitman, who's like 6 foot, like he's taller than me, six
Yeah.
foot whatever, comes like strolling over, and he's like, I heard there was somebody over here that wanted to meet me and stuff, and I was just like, holy fuck, like this is incredible. Shook his hand, like had a little conversation. He was like, and it
Yeah.
was it was last summer, so I think it was right around either one of the July long weekends or August long. I can't remember what it was, but it was like
Right.
the Friday before a long weekend. So everybody's getting ready to go away for like 3 days,
Yeah.
and they were so excited. So he was just like, "Hey man, like, what are you doing for the long weekend?" I was like, "Oh, I was supposed to go camping for my buddy's bachelor party, but we moved it,
Yeah.
whatever." And he was like, "Go." He looked me dead in the eyes, and he was like, "Go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood."
Right. Yeah.
And I looked him right back in the eyes, and I was like, "I've already seen it 3 fucking times," because it had only been out for like 2 weeks at that point or whatever. And we kind of, I had like a little geek out moment with Jason Reitman there about
really
a
cool.
Tarantino film. It was so
Yeah.
fucking.
No, you definitely didn't tell me that story. So that's
Yeah,
pretty.
dude.
Yeah.
It was fucking the whole experience end to end of like just them being, not only in Alberta, not only in Calgary, not only in Crossfield, just like
But everything
within.
yeah.
Just everything, man. Like that. I can't wait to like. And then when the first trailer dropped, and I saw my high school in the trailer, and like, oh my god, like it's just so fucking wild. It's still I will forever talk about that till the day I die, because it's still just one of the. It's like how did that happen? Like how did the stars align for that to happen in any, like, it doesn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense, but I'm not going to question it.
Yeah, exactly. Just take it as a win.
Oh yeah, it's a massive win.
That's so cool. Yeah, it was even actually last year at again, I keep bringing it up with that Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Actually ended up tattooing Morena Sirtis,
Yes,
who played Counselor Troy on Next Generation, and like, trust me, I had a full blown existential flip out that I'm like, never did I think of sort of like watching Next Generation, as a kid, I'm going to be like tattooing her someday. Like,
I remember when
never,
you did that.
Never in my mind. Yeah.
I remember when you were like posting about that on Instagram and shit, and I was freaking out for you, because that, like, how fucking cool is that?
Yeah, it was again one of those situations that just kind of came about from like right place, right time.
Yeah.
The panel, the stars were right, sort of like 90 degrees to where we were all tattooing. So, but, generally they would sort of be like ushered through the building or behind, little barriers and stuff. But the one day I was just like cleaning my machine, finishing up, after a client, and I could see Marina, coming over, and, she's like, loud and like everyone else had their head down working, and I could tell that they like leaned in more and like, we're like, oh, don't look up, because they just thought it was like some brash, maybe drunk, woman, because she comes rolling over like, tattoo people, who wants to fix this, and like, as a tattooer, everyone's like, no one wants to fix anything, and somebody with that much energy, you're like, ooh, never mind. But yeah, so I waved her over. I was like, yeah, come on over. Let's see what you got, and she had her football, team, her soccer, club, logo or whatever on her shoulder, and yeah, fixed it up the next day. Totally, in my mind, I'm like, there's no way she's coming back tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Sure enough, she's there with, her coffee and ready to go.
Wow.
And consummate professional. So
what? So did you just fix up the logo, or did you do something different on her?
Well, it was like a quarter-sized little like rooster with like, her like writing under it, and it was all like done in blue, and it was all like blown out. So I had to like basically like work with what was there, but do an exact better representation of it. Like, it was probably the most stressful tattoo I can remember doing.
Well, yeah.
Lately. But it was great though, because when we finished up, she's like, oh, like, thank you for making it look beautiful. What do you want as payment? And, like, what's this going to cost me, kind of thing. And I was like, honestly, the only thing, I was like, me and my mom used to watch you all the time on Next Generation. If you can get her an 8x10 glossy, that's all I want, And she's like, oh my God, like, I'll get you one, I'll get your mom one, like, whatever. And so yeah, I've got my little 8x10 glossy at the shop, and my mom's got hers in the living room. So yeah, it's a pretty fun little experience.
That's adorable. That is amazing. I love that so much. That's such a good story. That's such a feel-good story.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's like again too, like it's really cool when like I don't think those type of scenarios would have like happened had I not sort of taken the path that I did,
Totally.
and with the loves that I have. So
No, that's true. That's true. No, good on you for that one. Like that's dude, I gotta say, I'm super fucking proud of you for, taking the direction that you have, and that, you know,
well, and same with you, man. I mean, it's been a minute since I've seen you, but it's one of the cool things, where I can like turn on YouTube and like get to see my buddy eating random things. Also, by the way, your I'm not gonna look in this mystery box face is one of the funniest things ever. You're like, okay, I'm not looking. Quick glance. Oh, like you have no poker face immediately. Like I don't know how Adam isn't like shook every time because you're like, I'm just gonna know.
I don't know. Maybe it's more. Maybe it might. I don't know. I might be just be trying to throw him off, dude. We did those so long ago, and
Yeah,
I just haven't had time to edit them. But like with
yeah,
this kind of isolation or quarantine or
yeah.
whatever, I'm forcing myself to like find a moment here or there to just kind of get those episodes done, because like I said, I think we shot of just the mystery box ones. I think we
Mhm.
shot 8 of them,
Wow,
and
yeah.
there's only one posted, and I don't even think it's the funniest one.
Well, that's the thing. I remember like messaging you as I'm watching it, and I'm like, I'm quoting it like it's like inside jokes, and you're like, what? Like I
I
don't
was
know
like,
what you're talking about. I don't remember ever saying
I
that.
was
Oh
like, I,
wait, it was something I edited 5 months ago. Yeah,
I was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But as soon as you
yeah,
said like mystery box, okay. I don't
yeah.
remember what we said, but cool. I'm glad you're watching.
No, it's funny. I like literally I saw it come up on my Instagram and I was like sitting in the backyard and it was my first actual day of quarantine and I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? And again, it's like, middle of March, out here
Yeah.
and or end of March now. And it's actually like pretty decent. So I actually legit just like hung out in the backyard with a beer, some, cashews and like my shirt off, trying to catch some rays, pretend like it wasn't middle of March.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gave me something to watch, and yeah, it was a good day. So,
No, that's good. I've been trying to not just lay on the couch and watch like Rhett and Link or
hmm
Linus Tech Tips all day, because
oh
I can fall into that trap pretty quick.
yeah, well, that's it, and yeah, it doesn't take much when and I mean, me and you are like one of those kind of guys too, where it's just like you find something like dope, you're like, well, guess I'm watching 8 episodes of Ducktales this afternoon
Yeah.
because
Oh,
the new Ducktales is amazing.
I haven't watched any. Is it on? It's on Disney Plus.
It is on Disney
Oh
Plus. Watch
fuck.
like I think that some of the episodes are a little out of order for some reason, but that being said, like it's fucking really
Wait,
good.
that's the one that David Tennant is playing Donald
Yeah, there's
Scrooge,
like
right?
and there's so many like great voice actors like Bobby Moynihan, the guy who played Abed on Community. He's one of the ducks. Like there's
Danny Putty's in it.
yeah, they honestly the voice like what's the one girl from uh Garfunkel and Oates, the brunette one.
Oh, Kate McCucci.
Yeah, she plays Webgale, like
Oh,
Webby,
nice.
and yeah, so yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
have to. I'm gonna
that's
have to
something to
give that.
dive into. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give that a shot. Westworld just started again too.
yeah. My
Um,
my roommate Mark there, he's been hard on season 3 there.
did
I didn't get through 2. I got like 1 episode in. The first season amazing. Second one I just didn't get a chance to get into it, but
right?
now I want to catch up just to get into 3.
You should. One other. Did you watch Watchmen?
You know what? Okay, so I got the majority of the way through the Watchmen, and I need to pick it back up again. So, because
Wait.
like again, we've been watching a lot of like shows all together. Me, Charlie, and Mark.
Okay.
Thing is, we get started on a bunch of things, and it's like, oh, then we got to finish Outsider, and then oh, we got to watch
How is The
this
Outsider?
like how is Outsider? Unreal.
I've heard it's fucking. That's the one with Bateman, right? Jason
Yeah,
Bateman.
yeah, super super dark. Like I'd say, probably the first 3 or 4 episodes, they're amazing. They're super atmospheric. but they're a bit of a slog just because you got to get through the fact that it's like a gnarly murder investigation.
Okay.
But like by the end of the season, like it's full like chase, like super excitement, like it's really cool.
Sweet. That's one that I need to get into. Dude,
Yeah.
Watchmen is
Yeah.
probably one of the best series I've watched.
It was unreal, and I definitely got to like the end of one episode, and I was just like, oh my god, I gotta get on the next one, and then just didn't get a chance to finich up. But
I'll break your heart a little bit about it. It's they're not doing a season 2.
Mm.
They've I guess quote unquote canceled it because
hiatus or whatever.
No. They full on canceled it because Damon Lindelof didn't want to do anymore.
Okay.
He kind of wanted to go out on top with that one.
Right.
And I don't blame him because when you get to you'll see what I mean when you get to the end.
I'm gonna catch up on him for sure.
It's perfect. End to end, the story they built for that show is fucking perfect.
Yeah, I definitely love the trajectory it was on. Like I said, definitely not like because I ran out of steam. Just other things got in the way. But.
Yeah, and then like I've been trying to catch up on like all because like studios are releasing movies basically that are in theaters right now.
Digital now, so that they get seen.
Yeah, and one that I did watch was The Hunt. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, I watched that one too. Yeah, pretty awesome. You know, it definitely had a lot of like really really good elements.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of changes that I probably would have made just from more of a furthering sort of like characters. But I like the basic idea, and there was a lot of like you never knew what to expect with it. So I definitely think it kept you working for it.
It definitely there was kind of an element of like what is going on here, but then I felt like it fell flat kind of in the third act.
Yeah,
in terms of
I agree. I think even like not to give too much away, but like the whole bunker scene, like it was cool, but like they could have made that into like a full blown like multiple person wild shootout like kind of thing. But
well, and I think it was also kind of a cop out that they were, and spoilers abound at this point if you haven't seen The Hunt. I think at that point it was kind of like, well, it was kind of a cop out to just, but I felt like a lot of the characters were cop outs because with the marketing and then with what the marketing was saying was happening in the
once
movie.
They kind of went back over it, you're like, well, you never got any of that from these guys. You never had any real like character development.
There was no character development at all until the only character development we got with the lead was in like the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Exactly, right?
And
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of those like movies that I don't think it's necessarily like The Purge or like a Saw or any kind of like gore porn necessarily. It definitely has those moments that make you like whoa, but or keep you guessing. But like it's definitely one of those things that I don't know. I didn't have too much bad to say about it.
No, it wasn't a horrible movie, but it wasn't my favorite thing in the world.
Right.
Have you seen Parasite?
No, I haven't. I generally, and maybe this just sounds like a slob, but I barely see anything that's like Oscar nominated. So,
okay, watch Parasite.
All right,
Parasite is fucking worth it. Like that movie is, it was not a political move for them to give the Oscar to that film. All those like it swept the Oscars and for good reason.
Believe the hype kind of thing.
Oh yeah, it's a good fucking movie.
All right.
It's a good fucking movie. And I think that's where we're going to leave it today.
I'll definitely have to scope that out. Again, I always take your, maybe aside from Wonder Woman, I think we generally get along.
Well, yeah, because you liked Wonder Woman.
That was what set us off on, as you called it, like the dumpster fire that was Wonder Woman, and got us into our Marvel DC timeline debate. But we can pick that up on another day for sure.
And because we saw that one together in Vancouver when I came out one time. And honestly, you liked it. I thought it was boring. And
your slow head turn to me as I was like, that was actually pretty good. Yeah, and you literally said to me that was a fuck dumpster fire. Like, what movie did you just watch? So
No, it's true. It was an absolute dumpster fire. But you know what, buddy? I love you. I thank you so much for doing this today.
Yeah.
And I hope we can kind of connect over the next little bit. Let's do that YouTube party thing that you were talking about.
Yeah. Let's do it, man. That sounds perfect.
Fuck yeah. I love you, buddy. I'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. Take care, buddy. Bye.
Bye.